In this video, I start getting to know the boat by looking at some plumbing issues. I cut dozens of fiberglass circles to fill holes I made under the deck. I find a spare nav light and mount on eBay. And I build a microwave mounting point with tie downs to fix the new microwave in position. Okay, so one of the things I want to do with the galley is to get a microwave installed. A couple of reasons for that, and one is that in marinas and in harbour, when you've got shore power, it's a great way to cook. And also if you're in the Caribbean, you buy rice or flour, it's a wise idea, they say, to microwave it for 20 seconds, 30 seconds, just to kill off any parasitic eggs that may be in there. So it doesn't sound very pleasant, but there are stories of people buying rice or flour, keeping it for a few weeks, and then when they come to use it, it's full of weevils, I think is what they find. So the best way to avoid that is to microwave it for 20 or 30 seconds before you store it. So from that point of view, if we are going to go further afield, it would be good to have a microwave. And like I say, in harbour, in port, when there's shore power, it's a good way to cook things. It saves gas. And so probably the best place it could go would be up there, in this space kind of above the aft fridge, and there's a power point right next to it, so that's a really good spot. But the problem is it's not very high, so I've been looking around for microwaves that might fit the size. It really needs to be like less than 10.5 inches, because the deck slopes down towards the back, and at the back it's only 10.5 inches high. But the problem also is that at the front there's this lip, which is it's quite deep. It's what, look at that. That's kind of that's actually 1 3/4 inches of lip. So the microwave needs to sit high enough up so that the door can open. So I need to find a microwave that's less than 10.5 inches high overall, and also that has a high door. Turns out the one that we've got at home fits into those criteria quite well. So I thought what I would do was bring it down and try and fit it into the space to see whether it will actually fit or not. So let's give it a go. So as you can see, it actually does fit into the space. It was a bit of a struggle to get it over the lip and in, but thankfully the gap here is slightly higher further forward, so you can actually get it in and then slide it back into position. But obviously now, as you see, it's going to be difficult to open the door, and it needs to be lifted 1 inch so that the sound failed completely in this particular video and a couple of others. I can't really remember now what I was actually saying. But what I do remember is that I was trying to learn as much as I could about the new boat and all of its systems, and I wanted to understand plumbing. So we had this leak under the top of the steps where the water heater calorifier was sitting, and this would leak about 4, maybe 5 litres of water every few weeks. So every time we went to check the water level in all the bilges, this particular bilge here would have like 4 or 5 litres of water in it. So I think ultimately, typically, it would be after we've been using the water lower in height, either under electricity or longer feet under same height, power, so that the door opens higher. So what I did was I stuck this hose on the end of the pressure relief valve and then put it into a bottle so that I could actually measure how much was coming out. I ended up replacing the pressure relief valve, but this didn't solve the problem, and we still got that hose with the bottle on the end of it, but it's just in a more convenient location. This is the under sink cupboard, and under the floor in the bottom is this, which is looks like an expansion tank, but it's not connected to anything. There's a valve in the front which is just not connected, and I'm starting to wonder if connecting that hose to it would actually solve the problem of the leak. It's obviously a very old tank, and a little bit of research later shows that the bladders can go, and I'm wondering if that's why it's been disconnected, so I'd start researching buying a new one. Now, the next project involved the solar arch. Arch project was already underway, and one of the issues was that the front arch feet needed to sit on the deck exactly where two small unused cleats were sitting. So I removed these cleats, but the nuts and washers under the deck had been glassed over. So to remove the nuts and washers, I'd have to Dremel them out, and this has left 4 washer-sized holes under the deck on each side. Obviously, I had to fill these in, and I couldn't simply use thickened epoxy as the holes were downward facing, and the epoxy would just run out. So I needed to cut several circles of fiberglass to stick into the holes to hold the epoxy in place, and then I'd be able to fair the whole area with thickened epoxy later. Here's one of the washers that I've Dremeled out of the fiberglass. I've used it as a template to cut these 24 circles of fiberglass cloth. You can't easily cut circles this small in the cloth because of the weave, but I've got as close to circles as I think I can. I don't have any video of me actually wetting these out with epoxy and sticking them into the holes, or of me subsequently using thickened epoxy over the whole area to create a flat surface for the backing plates, as this was all a messy business. But I was very pleased with the result, and putting the backing plates under the arch feet was a breeze after this work. This is the new expansion tank that I bought to replace the old one. The old tank is now removed, but I'm still trying to find time to install the new one. These are rubber feet that I've cut from a sheet of butyl rubber that I bought, and these will be glued onto the base of this dinghy chock, and this will support the hard dinghy when it's tied down on the foredeck. It's still a project in the process of evolving, and these blocks will be epoxied on here after I confirm the size and shape are correct with the dry fits. Then the whole chock will be varnished to preserve it from moisture. Now here's something that I'm quite proud of. I found this Hella 2386 split red-green navigation light for around £20 on eBay. Now these are like hen's teeth, and although a spare one may one day be useful, what I really wanted it for was this mounting bracket. Our original stern light is on a similar bracket, but this has been cut and welded onto our stern rail, so it's not possible to move it. And this is right where I plan to install our new rail flap. So a new bracket will make moving our existing stern light a lot easier. So here's the new very small microwave that I bought, and here are the straps that I'm going to use to hold it down, and with a ratchet end on them. And then if we go outside and take a look at what I've been doing out here, you can see I've been busy with the new microwave base. I epoxied these risers onto the box board early this morning, and this is where these small bridge pieces will be attached to work as anchor points for the straps. Back inside again, and here are the small cleats with little blocks still attached that I took off in order to make space for the new solar arch feet. I'm still unsure what these were for, but I have asked for a loop to be welded onto the new arch feet in case it's needed in future. So, the latest on the microwave project is that I bought the smallest microwave I could find and figured out the heights that it needs to be lifted in order to get it to sit on the shelf and the door open. And this is the one we've got. It's not the most sophisticated, but it fits, so that's the important thing. And of course, it needs a stand to lift it up, and this is what I've made here. So it's just a 3/4 inch piece of ply, and it's got four feet on it, and these feet are made from 1/4 inch ply. So what I've had to do is cut out 12 pieces of 6mm 1/4 inch ply, and I drilled a hole in 4 of them, so a kind of 30mm diameter one for the back feet, because they're a slightly different design to the front feet, and then a 20mm hole for the front feet. So these will actually locate the feet in the right position so the microwave doesn't slide around. So I then glued all of these together to make four stacks of 3. And then when that was dry the next day, I sanded it all down, and I did that away from the boat. So when I got back to the boat yesterday, what I did was I glued these into position, and given that where these holes are located is very important, I drew crosses on the base, and I put a little tack, and I drilled a hole, 2mm diameter hole in the centre of each of the 4 feet, and then I made sure I could actually put the panel pin through the hole and then into the hole in the board in the centre of the cross. So that means that even if these move slightly, the centre of the circle won't move, and therefore the circle won't move. You know, so even if they turn slightly while they're gluing, the hole will still be actually perfect for the feet. So that's what I did there, and this morning the glue had all dried, so I've sanded it all down, and then I've continued making the holes. So how I'm going to attach the microwave to the board is with straps. So I've got these retainers, and these are going to one starboard, one port, one fore, and one after. That will enable me to put 2 straps over the microwave. So one will just stay there continuously, and one will sit in front of the door and hold the door closed, which we'll use while we're at sea. So that's the straps. Now these are going to be attached with these countersunk screws. So I've countersunk the holes underneath, so these don't protrude. So these will go through there, and they fit nice and below flush, so they won't scratch. And they come up just enough to get the retainers bolted on. So then to get this actually onto the shelf, I've drilled 4 holes through the shelf to take these 5mm bolts, and these I'm going to push up from the underside, and they're going to come through like this, and then they'll be bolted. So that will bolt this wooden block to the shelf, so this wooden block won't be able to move. Then hopefully with these straps the microwave won't move. So we'll have effectively a microwave at the right height that can stay there permanently. So that's the plan. So let's let's just try and get these bolted on. There we are. So those bolts will hold that now, hopefully without moving. And to make it look neat, I bought the dome-headed nuts. So these are dome-headed nuts. So I think still. Well, let me just try dry fitting the microwave. Perfect. So that is just, that is beautiful. It's just in the right place. Yeah. And it doesn't open all the way to hit fire blanket back into the fire blanket every time. Right, I think time to get that all off again and get those retainers on and get it all strapped up. Yes, so I'll crack on with that.